Hi ladies, well tonight I'm going to attempt to do my first tutorial, and what I'd like to share with everybody is something that my mother and I have been playing around with, and we thought it was a great idea, simply great idea, and I don't know if any tutorials have been done out there on this, so if there have been, I'm sorry, I just haven't seen it. But if there are and you haven't seen it like I have, then at least I can share my version of it. Anyway, what I made these flowers out of, and you can see how pretty they are. And there's a couple variations depending on how you cut the picture or how you cut your flower to get a couple different looks depending on how you cut your back one. Back up just a little bit more. Okay. And these are all made from, guess what, ladies? Baking cup. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because I ran over last time. Real quickly here, these come in a variety of decorations. You can, big, small, white, pink, yellow, foil, whatever kind of look you're looking for, it's out there. But if not, you got your basic white, and they do glimmer mist very, very nicely. So you can go with 3 or 4 layers. For the sake of time, I'm going to go with 3 for tonight. And I apologize for the ink and the glimmer mist and the ink underneath my fingernails. But you can go ahead and, if you wanted to stamp your images before you start, you can just flatten your paper cups out and stamp on them, and then start working with them. This is one I'm going to be making later. Actually, one I made like this before, it turned out to look like this. And you can see it, and it's so simple and so fast. So let me go ahead and get started here and check my time. Make sure I'm running okay here. Alright, for the first one, you're going to make a fold. You're going to fold this in half. Okay, and you're going to do that with all 3 or 4, depending on how many layers that you have. I'm going to fold all 3 of these in half. Okay, and then I'm going to fold them in half again. All right. And then after you fold them in half, depending on how big you want your flower to be, if you want it to be as big without even cutting them, you can leave it alone. But if you wanted a smaller flower and you wanted to use the paper cups or the baking cups, you would start by cutting and trimming your first layer. But I'm leaving that one go. And the second layer, I'm going to go ahead and cut down about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to curve that over. Okay? And then then you can see how it's going to layer here to see if that's going to give you enough layering. And that's going to work fine for what I'm doing here tonight. And then the last layer I'm going to take and I'm going to cut it right above where the pleat starts. And I'm just going to curve it around. Okay? And then if I want to see how that's all going to line up and layer, you can check it before you go any further, so if you have to make any adjustments, you can do it now. But you can see it doesn't have to be perfect, but that will work. So for the first cut, what you want to do, once you fold this in half, where it starts to curve down, you want to come in between with your scissors here and make your first cut. And you're going to cut down shortly right, a little bit longer than where the pleat starts, or just right below where the pleat starts you want to cut to. Okay, and then after you make your first cut, you can see this is how far I cut down. You want to be careful not to go all the way through. You just want to flip that around, and then you're going to start making your other cuts. And for these cuts, you're going to cut in between. You're going to have to put your scissors in between the papers and cut down. And you want to try to keep even with your cuts. Doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty even. Or pretty much the same. Okay, and then you're going to come and you're going to make another cut down the middle. And again, you can see I'm taking my cut right down below where the pleat starts. Okay, and then for this layer, depending on how you want your flower to look, if you wanted to have like a bigger petal in the back, or if you wanted it to have more petals in the back, you would make your cuts. This one, I'm just going to cut twice because I want to go with a bigger petal look in the back. Okay, so I'm only going to cut it twice there, in half there. And then this here, you can see I got my first layer of my flower. And you can kind of see it's all even if you had to do like a quick flower, this would work just like this. You can see how cute it is. Okay, so for the second layer, I'm going to go ahead and follow the same steps. And you're going to want to be careful, again, not to cut all the way through. And a little bit below the pleats, you're going to cut. Flip it around and go in between the papers again, making all your cuts. Okay. Alrighty. And then you're going to come up here and you're going to cut in the middle. Okay, and then on this layer, you're going to make 2 more cuts in between. The middle one to start, and then in between the middle and the end. And all your cuts should be pretty much even with each other. And then here's your second layer of your flower. Okay, and then the third one you want to be very careful with, but again, you're going to be following the same steps. Cutting down, and this one you'll have to be the most careful on to make sure that you don't cut all the way through. And then you'll flip it around. I'm going to change my scissors and cut down here. Okay, and then in this one, instead of cutting it 4 times, I'm going to cut it like I'm going to make fringe. So I'm just going to take little cuts all the way along here, like you're making fringe. Okay, and then you can see this is your third layer. And then at this time, this is where you can decide what kind of look that you're going for. You can take your mouse pad, cutting mat, whatever soft surface that you have. I use an old stamp mat because I have so many of these that they usually come with the stamps that I buy. But you can take your paper piercer at this point and put your brad in it if you wanted. Or in my case, I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm just going to press down on it. And you can kind of see right there, you could stop at that point if you want, if that was the look that you were going after. Also, if this was white, this would be the time that you'd want to glimmer mist them. Just be careful drying them because if you dry them too long, they will burn. Although it looks nice and vintagey, but you got to be careful you don't catch these on fire because they will burn. So then what you want to do is you want to crinkle them up carefully, of course. Okay. All right. And then just checking my time here. Okay, and then this is when you can just go ahead and start putting them all together. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going very, very quickly, but I just use glossy accents because it only takes a dot. Put a dot, stick, dot, stick. And then this is when you can push it down again. Okay, and you can kind of see the kind of look, and then you can kind of play with your petals there to get the look. And then you can take a button or bling, charm, whatever you want to do, whatever look you're going for. There's little charms at this point you could hang off if you wanted. Put little butterflies or whatever, but then you just kind of wrinkle it up around, kind of curve it out the way to get the look that you want for your flower. And there you go. If you have any questions, please comment. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.